What is up, everybody? It's Animac here for AnimeUproar, and today I will be discussing the heartbreaking aftermath of the UA Traitor reveal, how this completely changes the Class 1A dynamic that we used to love, and I will talk about Aizawa's secret master plan to trap the villains using the UA Traitor. MHA is in the endgame now, and Deku especially is carrying a lot of weight, if you know what I mean. So let's get into it. If you enjoy our Boku no Hero videos and you want us to keep it going, do me a quick favor, just leave a like and comment. It only takes a second, but it really helps with the YouTube algorithm. And if you want a completely free way to directly support this channel, just take a second to subscribe, hit the bell, and then select the option that says all. You might think that's not a big deal, who cares if one person subscribes, but actually on YouTube, that means a lot. You can also hit me up on Twitter and or Instagram at AnimeUproar. This video will of course contain Boku no Hero manga spoilers, so please proceed with caution, you have been warned. The previous chapter ended with Aoyama and his family being interrogated by the authorities, and with Deku reaching out his hand to Aoyama and telling him that he can still be a hero. The latest chapter is called The Story of How We All Became Heroes, Part 1, and it really focuses on Class 1A and how they are all dealing with the fact that one of their own was the UA Traitor. Back in the interrogation room, Sansa, the kitty cat cop, covers Aoyama's mouth so that he can't talk as he continues to cry. Tsukauchi then hilariously points out to Deku that Aoyama is currently restrained, so he can't take Deku's hand. I mean, obviously Deku's point was mostly symbolic, but it's still funny to see Tsukauchi bringing Deku back to reality in more ways than one. At the end of the day, no matter how much sympathy Deku and the others might feel for Aoyama and his plight, he's still been working with All For One for years, and he directly assisted in some of his crimes. And even though the cops don't think that Aoyama was rigged with a self-destruction quirk like Lady Nagant was, they still think it's better to keep him from talking, just in case something he says ends up triggering some sort of trap that All For One has set up. Honestly, this might seem a bit cruel at first glance because Aoyama is clearly remorseful, but not only was Lady Nagant booby-trapped, as you will recall, so was Kurogiri. He had been rigged to completely pass out if he ever started revealing any important information about the villains. So it's possible that Aoyama has some sort of trigger as well. Tsukauchi then asks Yuga's parents why they never told All For One about the hero raid in Kamino. Back then, the villains were caught by surprise, and as a result, All For One had to emerge out into the open, and this ultimately led to his imprisonment. If the villains had had prior intel about the raid, things could have turned out very differently. The Aoyamas explained that they had no way of reaching out to All For One at that time. It seems that they can only speak to him if he reaches out to them first, so they had no way of telling him anything unless he contacted them directly. And while this might prevent All For One from getting all of the important info that he could have wanted in real time, it also protects him from being found out if the Aoyamas are ever discovered. This means that the Aoyamas literally have no way of contacting or locating All For One. It doesn't matter what the police do to them, they could even torture them, but the Aoyamas will never be able to provide any useful intel on All For One's location. I mean, it's kind of brilliant to be honest, and it's exactly the type of thing that you would expect from a criminal mastermind. However, multiple members of Class 1A believe that they can still use Aoyama and his status as the UA Traitor to gain an advantage over All For One. Kaminari, Mineta, Momo, and others seem ready to forgive Aoyama just like Deku, or at least they seem to be willing to give him a chance at redemption. President Mike is like, okay, hold up, and he tries to warn them that they can't just start trusting Aoyama now after he deceived them for so long. But then even Ida jumps in and says that they have to let bygones be bygones. Okay, what? Ida, the guy who is known for being a stickler for the rules, who is the class representative, wants to forgive the UA Traitor so quickly like it's nothing? The same UA Traitor who put his entire class that he is responsible for in danger multiple times. Honestly, I was not a fan of this at all. I can understand Deku's behavior because that's kind of who he's always been, and I know that Ida has evolved since the beginning of the series in terms of always following the rules to the letter, but I still feel that some of the Class 1A students are too eager to forgive Aoyama way too quickly. I mean, I know that Horikoshi wants to give Aoyama some form of redemption, and I'm totally fine with that happening eventually, But shouldn't Aoyama's classmates take some time to actually process their feelings before just forgiving him on the spot? Am I the only one who feels that this is happening way too quickly? I never thought I'd say this, but to me, Bakugo sounds like the voice of reason on this one. He says that he's gone through hell because of Aoyama, which is true, and he just wants to blow Aoyama up with like 5 howitzer impacts. That totally makes sense. He's reacting like a normal person under the circumstances, but then Zero tells him that he's being too harsh, and Kirishima goes on to yell out a bunch of stuff at Aoyama, but the gist of what he yells out is essentially that he also believes that they can move past this. Then Aizawa FaceTimes everyone from the hospital, and he takes full responsibility for not seeing that one of his own students was operating as the UA traitor right under his nose. But Aizawa then goes on to say something that I really don't know how to feel about. He tells Aoyama that he has no intention of expelling him from UA. Instead, he has devised a plan. Aizawa proceeds to tell Tsukauchi to cover up the ears of the Aoyamas so that he can reveal the plan to the others. Presumably this plan will involve Aoyama, but Aizawa doesn't want him to know about the plan just yet, in case All For One still has some way of extracting information from him. Unfortunately, we don't get to hear this secret plan yet, although by the reaction of those in the room who did hear it, it seems to be an intriguing and very consequential plan. According to Nezu, it is also a very practical plan, but Tsukauchi doesn't know if they should even attempt it. At any rate, the Class 1A students are told to keep the plan secret from everyone else, and then Aoyama and his family are taken to the police HQ as the students look on. Also, Ochako has her hair tied up, so you know things are about to go down. Back inside the dorms, the students are trying to come to terms with everything that happened, and they are also preparing to execute Aizawa's mysterious plan. All the remaining Class 1A students pledge to defeat the villains, and they all have serious and intense looks on their faces. Deku has a serious and intense look as well, and since he and Ida need new hero costumes after their current ones were damaged, they head to meet up with the one and only Mei Hatsume, the full-time genius inventor and part-time deranged mad scientist. Deku knows that in order to prepare for the next big villain battle, he has to be in top shape, and so does all of his gear. And so he maintains that intense look as he tries to enter Mei's workshop. But he is suddenly blown to the ground along with the door after an intense explosion just randomly goes off inside the workshop. The last page of the chapter shows Mei lying on top of Deku, her oppai right in Deku's face, and although Ida is like, what the fuck, Deku is still maintaining that same intense look on his face as Mei's oppai pressed down upon him, and that is how this chapter ends. Okay, I'll be real with you guys, I am not a huge fan of this chapter, but that moment where Deku is still maintaining a serious look as Mei's oppai crushes face made me laugh out loud. That is some iron-willed determination right there. This man will not let anything distract him from his mission, and I respect that. That said though, as I mentioned earlier, I'm not a fan of so many students being willing to forgive Aoyama so quickly. Like, yes, Bakugo is still holding it down, and to be fair, we haven't heard from all the different students individually. But to have so many students act like Aoyama didn't just put all of them and their teachers and other people in direct danger for like a year is just unrealistic. Again, I can totally understand if eventually, over time, they can come to forgive him after he helps them fight against the villains and redeems himself. But this just feels rushed. I get that Horikoshi is trying to move the story along, but we have to get a proper emotional progression after 5 years of wondering who the UA traitor is. I mean, how do you guys feel about this? Am I overreacting when I say that this felt rushed and unrealistic? Or do you agree with me? The most interesting thing about this chapter to me is Aizawa's secret plan, which almost certainly involves Aoyama trying to use his status as the UA traitor to deceive All For One and the villains. When Aizawa first said that he's not going to expel Aoyama, I thought it was just another example of people forgiving him way too easily because it was convenient for the plot. But when Aizawa says that he has a plan and that the Aoyamas cannot hear what that plan is yet, I realized that keeping Aoyama at UA and acting like everything is normal is probably part of Aizawa's plan to lure the villains into a trap. If they were to expel Aoyama now, the villains would immediately know that the traitor has been compromised. But will this mysterious plan actually work, with All For One being as careful as he is? I guess it all depends on the nature of Aizawa's secret plan, but I'm very curious to find out what exactly he has in mind. We know that All For One has like 10 plans and backup plans going at the same time, so the heroes definitely do need to put their own plans into motion before it's too late. What do you guys think Aizawa's secret plan is, and what exactly will it try to accomplish? Is it going to involve using the traitor to make All For One think that Deku is out alone somewhere, but then it turns out that it's a trap set by the heroes? Will it be something else? Definitely share your thoughts down in the comments below. The reveal of the UA Traitor has definitely shifted the dynamic between the Class 1A students, and they will probably never be as trusting of each other as they once were. That, of course, is to be expected. The innocent and naive Class 1A students we once knew are gone. The Class 1A students we see now are becoming battle-hardened and experienced heroes, and they have gone through some truly terrifying and tragic ordeals. And it is for this reason that I hope Horikoshi won't just have everyone forgive Aoyama so easily, because after everything that happened, that just wouldn't make sense. Give it some time, allow the class to deal with what happened, have Aoyama actually do something to redeem himself, and then let's talk about forgiveness. The Class 1A students we see today are much more mature and experienced than the students we used to know. And so their reaction to the UA Traitor reveal has to reflect that. I mean, people have died, cities have been destroyed, and forgiveness must be earned. At least that's my 2 cents. If you guys enjoyed this video and you want to see more in the future, leave a quick like. It only takes a second, but it really helps with the YouTube algorithm. And if you're new to AnimeUproar, or maybe you watch our videos but you just haven't taken the time to subscribe yet, do me a quick favor and make this the video that you subscribe and hit that notification bell to turn on all notifications. You really have to go through the trouble of clicking subscribe, hitting that bell, and then selecting the option that says all. If you don't do that, you're still gonna miss a ton of our videos even if you are subscribed. It's just how YouTube works. You can also hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at AnimeUproar. I want to give a quick thank you to all of our AnimeUproar patrons for making videos like this one possible. Special thanks to Alpha Sigma. This man is an absolute mad lad and a disciple of Lord Twigo himself. And I can't forget all of our The One tier patrons, the ones who rise above all other clans, including Ingrata, Aljatal, Pate Hefa, the Red-Haired Fox, Hinokami and Water, the Toasted Chi, Corey McGowan, The Spike, Lonely Dakar, Dylan Isidore, Spidey Life Tunnel, Tungsten Tarkus, Baked Buddhist, Jeremy Cummins, and Che Whitley. Finally, thank you also to all of our Pro Hero tier patrons, including the one and only Gilgamesh, Steelers, Angel Cruz, Very Gucci, Alicia Octor, Bonnie Parks, Joanne Garcia, Fatboy Games, Kaido Might Be a Duck, Jessica Rabbit, Jeremy Phillips, Ali Vania, and Temple. If you enjoy our videos and you feel that they provide value to you, consider supporting us on Patreon. Even a single dollar will give you access to our patron exclusive Discord, and your name will appear in our videos along with these legendary people. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, see ya, Space Cowboys!